Hi, and welcome back to the Comfort Table. I'm Teal, and this is Cian, and today we're gonna talk about
Musical talent or just music.
just music. Yeah, so most of us are Asian,
I mean, as you can probably tell.
and there's the stereotype that like all Asians can either play the piano or violin or cello or something like that, right?
Yeah, and I think most people on the internet probably have heard of Twoset violin before, and this video is kind of inspired by something that we watched on their channel. They recently came out with this like tone deaf test
Yeah, their poor friend
video.
who is not tone deaf.
Oh, is that fun? But yeah, basically they did a tone deaf test with their friend, and we tried it ourselves separately while watching the video. So unfortunately, we can't use that exact test again, but we thought we wanted to do something similar.
So we have a test here, but we don't know what is gonna be in here.
And whether it's gonna be a good test or not, because we have not pre-vetted it and we do not have enough friends to pre-vet it for us.
So before that, we would like to disclose a bit about our music history and why we may probably not fail this test.
I mean, I hope I don't fail this test. It'll be a bit embarrassing if I fail it. As all tests are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing into the Asian stereotype, if you sit for a test, you better get full marks, right?
Well, I think we can start off by saying like I'm pretty sure that I'm not musically talented, but I'm somewhat musically trained. And Teal is also musically trained.
Yeah, definitely not talented.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to us after having been
trained
for so many years that we're not very good at it, that we're not very talented in this area. But
we're only like passable because we have been trained. Because anyone with some training will be able to play an instrument, right?
Yeah, so maybe let's start by telling people what we actually play and like what kind of like musical training we have gotten before we try the test that we don't know whether it's good or not.
So I'll go first since I only play one instrument. I play the piano, the king of all instruments.
The one that the stereotype Asian plays.
Other than the violin.
Oh yeah, violin or piano.
Yeah, so I learned it for many years. I actually have a grade 8, which I passed in 2009.
You started very young.
I not young enough that I couldn't talk, but like young enough that probably around like 7 or 8 or something.
Right, okay, that's
which is
reasonably
young, but definitely past like the formative period of like 3 or 4 or something. Yeah. So after I passed my grade 8, I still continued playing for a couple of years, but then I stopped because I didn't have time in university.
Then nowadays
I don't really play anymore because it wasn't something that I liked. It was something I was made to learn.
So
what instruments do you play?
I joined the band in primary 3, which is 9
years old,
and I was in a band all the way until I graduated from junior college, which was when I was 18. So I always had the same extracurricular activity, co-curricular activity, after school activity. So I played the trombone in that. I'm not very good at it.
This reminds me, in university, I had a friend who also played the trombone, and when I mentioned that Cian played the trombone, he was like, "Oh, Cian is free to play my trombone anytime." And then there was this like awkward pause, and then he was like, "Oh, I didn't mean anything by that."
Yeah. So I played it for so many years, like definitely around 10 years, and I have not gotten much better at it. I've never really gotten formal musical training until I tried to learn the guitar in secondary 3, I think so, like 15. And then for that I took some ABRSM exams. I can't remember what was the last one I left off at, but I definitely have a grade 4. I took a grade 5 theory test so that I could take that exam for like grade 6 or 7.
Yeah, above 5.
So I definitely failed like at least 6 or 7 and then like did not take 7 or 8, whichever it was.
Okay, I think we have talked a bit too long
let's
about. Let's just do the test. So the test is: are you tone deaf or musically gifted? A simple test for non-musicians.
Each question will be presented with 2 possible answers.
Multiple
For
choice.
answering the questions, simply write down A for the first option.
Okay,
or
so
B
it's
for
an
the
A,
second.
B. Don't look at my answer.
Feel free to pause and to replay each question before writing down your answer.
Here we go.
Let's start.
Pitch recognition.
You will hear 2 notes played one after the other. Is the second note A higher or B lower than the first?
Do we just say our answer?
Yeah.
B.
Yeah, it's lower.
I will now put the correct answer. B.
Lower. High five.
Just like the earlier question, you will again hear
okay.
2 notes played one after the other. Is the second note A higher or B lower than the first note?
Three, two, one.
Higher.
A. Yeah.
Now for the correct answer. A higher.
Wow.
Feels a bit lame doing this when we have musical training.
Yeah. But it's
Level
for
2,
non-musicians.
holding a
right?
note.
You will hear 2 notes separated by a 3-second gap. Are both the notes A same or B different?
Three, two, one.
Different. You know what I have more trouble with? Trying to remember whether A is same or
Yeah.
B is same. I know what the answer is, I don't remember the options.
Here we go with the correct answer. B different.
It's only level 2.
Yeah, level 3. Oh, level 2 only has one
Understanding
question.
harmony.
Level 3.
You will hear a chord followed by a single note. Do the 2 A fit together or B clash?
It's subjective, right? This is very subjective. Clash.
A. I think fit together and she thinks clash.
Because it's a 7.
A fit.
So they're asking for the same key.
You will hear
I
a full
think
scale
so.
followed by a single note.
Honestly, let's pause here. So I think it might be because you can hear the actual note
Yeah.
that you can identify what it is, right? For me, it's just like, oh, it sounds like it's from the same like.
It's the same
Family,
key, yes,
yeah.
but it's not in the first chord of 4 notes that was played. It's the 7th.
Okay, yeah.
Or the 9th or
So
something.
I think in this particular case, the question was a bit vague. Yeah. So I think that's why, because like the fit is like what do you mean by
is
fit?
this?
Like, do you
Yeah.
mean like this note appeared in the chord or
Yeah.
did not appear in the chord?
So I interpreted it as like this note is in this chord rather than this note is in this key.
I could not tell what notes were in the chord, but I was just like, oh, it sounds like it's the same.
It is.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
same key signature. That's all I remember.
Okay, question 5. Okay, so this is my interpretation for the previous question. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Clash.
B clash.
Yay.
Level 4, Understanding Harmony Part 2.
You will hear a chord followed by a short musical phrase or melody. Do the 2 A fit
Okay.
together or B clash?
Fit together.
Yeah. Yeah, once I understand what they mean by fit together, it's a lot like easier to know what
Now
they
for the
want.
correct answer.
Yeah.
A fit.
I think because it's for non-musicians, so you won't be able to hear that much difference.
Understanding tonality.
In this example, you will first hear a chord followed by a short phrase or melody in the same key. Do both of them sound A, major and happy, or B, minor and sad?
So is it major or minor?
I think it's B.
It's major.
Okay, I'm going.
Here comes the correct answer. A, major.
This guy, I don't know, maybe he like does more jazz or something, so like less classic. We are both classically trained, so maybe we're more used to that kind of
sounds. And also, like, I think we should mention that Teal has perfect pitch, right? That
to some degree.
Yeah, to some degree, whereas I do not, and I basically don't have a formal understanding of music theory because I just passed the exam.
Grade 5.
I mean, I just crammed for the exam to pass
I crammed for the exam.
So I crammed for the exam in like what 2 months to pass it. Without like, and whatever training I had before was just like whatever I learned through osmosis from band. So obviously in band, like especially in primary school, they don't teach you like, here are the chords, these are the notes of the chords. The only thing that I learned was really, because I played trombone, I was in the harmony for most of the time. And then depending on whether you play first, second or third, you tend to get like 1, 3, 5 kind of chords, right? If you play second, you tend to get the third. So that's like the one that's very hard to tune. Yeah, they didn't teach us that much in band, so I'm pretty good at identifying like 1, 3, 5 kind of notes in a chord, but that's just because of the trombone scores. Yeah.
Kind of like relative to the...
Yeah. And I'm very bad at like... I just listen to everything relative to like, if you tell me this note is do, and then I will just be like, okay, everything starts from this do. I have no perfect pitch. Yeah.
Question 8.
This one is B. Okay. It made me realize that the earlier one was obviously not B.
Oh.
B, minor.
But it's not B minor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Sorry.
Final level. Understanding? Resolution.
In this example, you will first hear a chord followed by a short phrase or melody. Does the melody sound A, resolved, or B, unresolved?
This is more like a composition thing. Like, you know, when you have like the same melody, then you repeat it twice.
His resolution is, does this phrase sound like it ends? Like, does it resolve?
Yeah.
It is not a... I was just thinking of like pixels. Just because like by training, the resolution that I'll be like, Photoshop, what pixels? That's the resolution of the picture that you need. You know? Okay, so anyway.
How many DPI?
Yeah.
A chord followed by a short phrase or melody. Does the melody sound A, resolved, or B, unresolved?
Unresolved.
Yeah.
Here comes the correct answer. B, unresolved.
And last question.
Again, in this example,
Can I
you will
just...
first hear a chord followed
B.
A.
It's resolved.
I was thinking for very long.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just double check. I think I got 1 or 2 questions wrong.
I think I got 2 wrong.
Oh, I got 1 wrong.
I got 2 wrong.
Wait, which was the one that you got wrong? The first one was the misinterpretation of fit, right?
Yeah.
Or the last one was the resolved or not resolved.
It does not sound resolved. I mean, it did end in the key, but the
phrasing.
The phrase was this does not sound resolved.
It sounded quite unresolved for most of it to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is...
Okay, 8 to 10 is above average. Well done, us.
But to be fair, this is a simple test for non-musicians, and we are trained.
Overqualified.
Yeah, because we have been trained, so we are not, non-musicians in a way, even though I do not actively think of myself as a musician.
I can play an instrument, that doesn't make me a musician.
Yeah. But I think we deliberately picked a test that's more like this because we didn't want the trauma of taking oral exams.
Yeah, we didn't want it to be too technical.
Yeah, because I honestly really suck at it because I
Me
do
too.
not have a good foundation of music theory.
Because I learned music theory when I was a kid, so I didn't have a very good understanding as a kid,
Yeah,
right? Because
correct.
it
I
is
think-
quite complicated.
I think my siblings also told me something similar because they learned it as they learned the piano. Because I've never formally learned music theory, the way my brain works is that, so for trombone, I look at the notes and I'm like, it is here, it is there. And then like it does the same, I do the same thing for guitar. I'll be like, I look at this note and I'm like, it is here, it is there. It's, like, so it doesn't come through my
Okay.
brain as this is a note and this note is there. It's just this is this and this is that. Like this note is this position. So
In that sense, I think the piano has an advantage because it's like a linear scale, right? It's
yeah,
the note is relative
there is
to
a
the position.
there is an individual note for there's an individual key for each
Yes,
note.
and it's in a
Yeah, whereas for
Yeah.
like the instruments that I play, there were always more than one way to play the same note.
So what did you think about the test?
I think the test is I feel a bit better, but then I feel like I'm just comforting myself because I am obviously overqualified for the audience that they are targeting it at. But also like I think the example especially of the chords and phrases that he played is very different from what we usually get
Yeah.
for music exams.
Yeah, it's more like jazz.
correct. And the kind of chords that they play is like not the
Not-
the usual chords we get in classic
Yeah.
pieces.
I actually thought that this test was a bit not as accurate as the one that Twoset made their poor friend take. Because you mentioned, maybe because I'm classically trained, so I'm like classically biased towards tests that follow that sort of
Like
framework.
right.
Yeah.
Like both the way they explain the theory and also like the examples that they used in the clips. We'll link the videos that we mentioned. I'm honestly just very glad that we managed to pick a test that wasn't completely terrible and was not an oral nightmare. Because
yeah.
I think oral really just scarred me because I feel like saying that I've played the trombone for so many years and that I learned the guitar for so many years and I technically have a grade 5 theory certificate. Like,
But paper doesn't mean anything.
but I feel like a fraud because I don't remember enough. But I definitely know more than the average person who has not been
yeah.
trained in music. So it's a very strange place to be. To be like, yeah, I sort of know, but like not
enough.
really. Yeah. What about you?
For me, I'm glad it wasn't like the oral test because like in the practical exam there's like 3 parts, right? Your scales, your pieces and the oral. Or you can play your pieces first then your scales. It's up to you, right? I wasn't very good at the oral. By the way, this oral is spelled as AURAL.
Yeah, it's the test. Okay, anyway.
Because I have difficulty reproducing the sounds. So one of the, I guess, test questions, things they make you do in the test is like they play a phrase and you're supposed to like sing it back to them, or like they play a phrase and you're supposed to sing the bass line or something like that.
Yeah.
But I just have problems singing. Because either I was a very shy kid or I didn't practice singing, but yeah,
Honestly,
it was
I
just
think-
very difficult for me to. Yeah, so I asked my teacher if I could whistle, and my teacher was like very adamantly, no.
You were allowed though, right?
Yeah, you could whistle, yeah.
But your teacher didn't want you
Yeah.
to whistle. Yeah. But it's actually very difficult to whistle in tune.
Which is a bit, I guess, frustrating, both for me and my teacher, because my teacher knew that I had perfect pitch. And so he probably was like, why can't you just sing it back?
It's like because you can definitely hear it,
Yes.
right? But you couldn't produce it
I
with your
couldn't
voice.
produce it.
Right.
Yeah.
I had another problem
Struggles.
with like the oral test, which is that I can't remember the parts that they play for long enough to be able to sing it back to them. Which I feel like it's more of a memory problem.
Yeah, because like as you go up in the grades, the phrase gets super long, like
It's
8
not
bars
a
or
musical
something.
problem, it's a memory
Yeah.
problem.
And you only hear it like once or twice, right?
Yeah, I think so. And how to say?
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to have that kind of like
To be
short-term
fair,
memory.
I suppose if you've practiced enough or you've heard similar things enough that, it will be easier to remember it. But also like whatever the case was, right? I always just felt like if you broke this down into half and made me sing half of it separately, I would do much better than if you give me the whole pitch just because I don't remember.
Yeah. The interesting thing about my perfect pitch is that I didn't know I had it until I was in my late teens.
Oh, but you had it before.
Yeah, of course I had it. I just didn't know
what it was.
What it was, and that not everybody had it. My perfect pitch is a bit faulty. It's not like those genius level perfect pitch where, you know, they hear a car horn or like a duck quacking and they can tell you what note it is. No, I can only identify instruments. Instruments.
Not voice.
People singing, no. Unless it's like opera singers and they go like into the higher registers and then it sounds more like I call it a pure note. But
I suppose the wave patterns
the
are
wave
different.
pattern are,
yeah, because human speaking voice has a small like
jagged.
yeah,
wave
like the wave
pattern.
profile is a bit different. Anyway, the conclusion is something that we already knew. We were
Musically trained. We are
But
not tone deaf.
and we're not very talented at it.
Yeah. As you
Yeah.
can tell, having perfect pitch does not make you a good musician.
Yeah. Which is funny because at one point you used to, as with a lot of people who play the piano, upload clips of you
Yeah.
playing the piano.
Yeah, I had a YouTube channel where I uploaded like anime song covers and then I deleted it.
I don't know what it is either. I've never seen it. I've only seen like a video, like a image of what the thumbnail looks like. And obviously it just looks like a camera on the end of a piano, so like
From,
it's
like, I think
super
the
non-distinct.
right hand angle. Right?
Yeah, yeah, music. We are not talented at music, but it's okay, I guess.
Like, yeah.
So we are trying out this. We tried out this new format today. I don't know whether
Taking a
it's
quiz.
interesting. We'll see how it turns out after editing. So that's all for this video.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.